time, in a land far, far away called New York City, there was a boy named Matt. And this boy was just a normal boy with nothing that would help him to stand out from your average kid. But then one day, while he was running home to his house in Hell's Kitchen, he was blinded by a radioactive substance that fell from an out-of-control truck when he tried to push a man out of the path of the oncoming vehicle. And thankfully, he wasn't killed, but the damage from the chemicals blinded him permanently. But despite the fact that he was no longer able to see, the radioactive material heightened his remaining senses beyond normal human ability and gave him a sort of radar sense. So, despite his challenges, he was able to finish school, become a lawyer, and went on to avenge his father's death. And after that, he was able to fight crime in a bright red costume as the superhero Daredevil. Now then, would it surprise you all to know that I am in fact Daredevil? When I was 7 years old, my mom and dad first told me that I was indeed the superhero Daredevil. To the casual observer, I am just a 15-year-old sophomore. To those who know me on an everyday basis, I'm Wynder. But to those who really, truly know me, they know that I am in fact a superhero with autism. To be a bit more specific, I'm a superhero with an overlapping spectrum disorder of autism and ADHD. When I was 3 years old, I was first diagnosed with low-functioning autism. I couldn't really speak or talk the same way other kids could at that age. I mean, I could hum like a champ, but speaking? That just wasn't happening. I also couldn't really move around a lot without somebody's help. Although, I have been told that I like to put my little toy cars in a line and then just stare at them for a really long time. I was also apparently fond of staring at walls. Don't judge, we all have our own things. And I didn't really look at people or communicate with them in any way at all. Eventually, my parents took me to the doctor, where I was first diagnosed with low-functioning autism. He also said that the odds of me ever walking, talking, or doing anything for myself were very unlikely. High functioning was not a goal he saw me achieving. I would be low forever. Luckily, my parents disagreed, and from that moment on, life got a little bit more interesting, and my transformation into pure awesomeness began. And at first, this transformation didn't feel so good. Where I used to just sit and stare, I was now working, and working really hard on using my arms and legs for movement. So I had to go to physical therapy to learn how to use my limbs in ways I had never even used them before. For me, it kind of felt like somebody was forcing me to do those cringy little Fortnite dance moves before Fortnite was even a thing. Yeah, before Fortnite was even a thing. Oh yeah. By the time I was 3, I needed to learn how to use my hands, and eventually I could hold my own marker, hold my own paintbrush, and I would just swipe away with the both of them, and then magically, art would appear, where a big blank white spot of paper used to be. Now then, since I couldn't talk at that age, sign language was my only form of communication, so I would often watch the show, Signing Time with Alex and Leah. And I started with learning the basics. More, sorry, water, mom, dad, no. I didn't want to work anymore. It was too hard. Couldn't a guy just line up his little toy cards and then stare at them for a really long time in peace? But every day, I was prodded to work a little bit harder, and for a little guy to like to stare at the wall, this was really infringing on my me time. But as time went on, I was able to master the more difficult words, and then I began to sound out the words that were with the signing. Pretty funny. So signing time with Alex and Leah became Signing Time with Alex, Leah, and Jared. Very slowly, I began to army crawl away from the wall I like to stare at. And then, using my little brother's example, I began to actually crawl away. And then, I began to walk away from the wall. So now, I was walking, sort of, talking, sort of, and even feeding myself, sort of. And I was actually looking at people. It was amazing. It was like a whole new world had opened up for me to explore. The specialists had all said, impossible. The therapists had all said, I never imagined it could have happened. And my parents said, see, we knew there was a superhero in there. Unfortunately for me, this is not where the work ended. School began, and it became a whole new set of challenges for me to take on. Reading, writing, math, drawing little people with my occupational therapist whose head's actually connected to their bodies. A speech therapist so that I could learn how to talk with others, but not stuttering. A social therapist was also thrown into the mix so that I could learn how to share my feelings and speak towards others with empathy. I also need to learn how to look at people, but in their eyes. It was around this time that an added diagnosis of ADHD was given, so I was now the overlapping spectrum disorder guy. Paying attention to others was especially difficult, because those things I could imagine, oh man alive, I'm telling you all right now, I had the greatest imagination in the world. It was so easy for me to disappear from a world of work and probing of others and feeling identification into a world of the Transformers and the Amazing Spider-Man. And even while somebody was talking to me, all I could hear in my mind was Optimus Prime shouting, Autobots, roll out! It was around this time that a regression with my autism began to happen. All the specialists had said, well, we were waiting for this. The therapist had said, he did try for a long time, but my parents said, superheroes may rest for a while, but they always get back to work. And I know what it means to work, and to work hard. I know what it's like to have somebody not believe in you, but in your face. But when my mom and dad first told me the story of Daredevil, how he had managed to overcome overwhelming challenges despite his blindness, they also told me that I could overcome a lot of challenges as long as I worked hard and put my mind to it. And when they told me this, something happened to my heart. It wanted to work. It wanted to grow. It wanted to show everybody out there in the entire world that I could do this. And now, as my heart has grown, with this 6'2", 15-year-old that you see before you today, I know that all my work and all my struggles have been for something. And to all those people out there who thought that I would never be able to walk, talk, or even draw a picture of a family and a dog standing next to a house, I drew that dang picture, by the way. Though I didn't want to, because who wants to draw that when you could just draw Optimus Prime and Bumblebee fighting with the Decepticons? Even to this day, I'd rather draw that. I'd actually rather talk to myself than anybody else. And believe me, myself and I, we've had a lot of long conversations. I just like to get lost with the magical worlds I can create in my head, because those places are just so much more fun, especially when the things, people, or places around me get overwhelming. And they could get overwhelming a lot. So I'd rather not think about who I make nervous in public when I start talking to myself or make a facial expression that someone finds weird, or waving my arms or rocking back and forth. It's just that there's something about those things that make me feel so calm. But I learned just a few years ago in a grocery store, as I tried to sword fight a ninja who just turned out to be a lady trying to buy some turkey bacon, that there is a time and place for all those things. And I'm still trying to figure out where those times and places are. And that's why I'm incredibly grateful to have my home and my safe spots where all those things are welcomed. There, I'm free to rock back and forth and not have to worry about anybody seeing me stutter. Other places, such as the halls of a high school or a grocery store, are probably places where imaginary sword fighting are best left out of. Now, I truly believe that we are all presented by challenges. And it doesn't matter what those challenges are, whether it's a lack of confidence, trouble with getting up in the morning, or struggling in school. We can all just sit there and stare at a wall. Or we can line up our little toy cars and say, nope, no work for me today, thank you very much. Or we can say to ourselves, well, I have been procrastinating a little bit, and they did say I'd never make it. I guess I'll just believe them. But what if, just for today, we all pretended that only a little bit of radioactive material poured all over us and heightened our remaining senses? What would we do? Well, for me, I like to focus on the stuff I'm exceptional at. For example, I'm an actor. I just love acting. I'm also amazing at memorization. I can memorize anything after just looking at it for a few minutes. And I don't care what other people think about me, because I've still got a life to live, a family to love, a college education to get, and people to serve. So, what about all of you? What can you work towards? What will you say with the small voice that you've been given? You have all had a little bit of radioactive substance poured all over you. You all have a superpower that you might have not even discovered yet. So find that superpower. Focus on only your good qualities. Crawl away from that wall you've been staring at. Sword fight your ninjas in your backyard if need be. As Daredevil himself succinctly put it, we all want to live in a world where we can make a difference. That's why Spider-Man fights the good fight, or Captain Marvel, or me. There are a lot of us, and we don't all wear masks these days. And he's right, we don't need to, because there's already a whole lot of superhero in all of us. Thank you.